guys want to talk about?
Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Brian. With me always is...
I'm Mark.
That's right. And today, we just wanted to take a minute to introduce you guys to someone who is a Canadian filmmaker. He's already got some films under his belt. Mark?
He's best known for probably the Sawyer Massacre, a then film for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's got a new movie eventually going to be out, and it's called On Scene. We'll let him explain it. How about
He's
that?
not going to give a whole lot away. We've already had this conversation, but
Shh! Don't tell everybody that. Got to make him come in for more.
come on.
Oh, God. Here he is. And who is he?
Steve Merlo. I'm sure I butchered that a little bit.
Oh, no, that's fine. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Can't complain.
Well, normally the first question we always ask our guests or our co-hosts is how are you doing today?
Oh, I think I'm doing pretty good. I think we've covered that.
Yeah. We so Mark found you because he is a huge fan of any horror. I don't know if you can see his background there, but Mark is super into the horror genre. I think his favorite though is going to be Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th and Halloween. Halloween was my favorite group. This Facebook user is Peter Anthony. I don't know why his name didn't show up, but how are you doing?
Hello.
All right, so Mark, I got stuff on my screen that I don't know how to make go away. Hang on a second. There we go.
Well, you make it go away now. I talked with you and I touched a little base on the Sawyer Massacre, and I was I'm sitting there watching it, and at the end I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, you left me on a damn cliffhanger.
So
interpretation.
So let's do this. Let's tell everybody that doesn't know what it is about. Just give us a little synopsis of Sorority Massacre.
Sorority Massacre. Okay.
Is that what it is? Is that what it's called?
No.
Say it
The
again.
Sawyer Massacre.
Sawyer.
Oh my God. I'm sitting over here thinking it's Sorority Massacre. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Sawyer Massacre. Okay.
That's right. It's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out like what the hell's a sorority got to do with it. So I was like, hey, okay.
Now this is one. If I'm going to tell you, if you're going to watch it, you're going to watch it. You know, just throw a little bit of the. If you remember anything about Texas Chainsaw, throw a little bit out because of the fact that he went before then. So, you know, like look at the truck that the guy was driving. It was not an original because you look at the rims and it just tells you that it was not original. That was the only. Other than the two things, I loved the movie. It was great.
There's a couple little non-time period things in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I wish I could have done more with the costume design, but you know, you could believe it's set in mid-60s, I think. But that's what you deal with when you're on a limited budget. You know, our production budget was around $30,000 for Sawyer Massacre. So when you only have that and you've got a cast and crew to feed, and you know, so you do the best you can with what you've got. It's definitely not easy, and we had to really cut the shooting days down. We shot it in 9 days. So, I mean, the rims on that truck, I hear about it all the time, and it's had a paint job that doesn't look very
okay, yeah, it don't look like because it's more glossy and it's not flat, like, but still, it was a nice truck though. I'm like, oh my God!
It was also supposed to be a rundown truck. It was supposed to be really run down. I was like,
the truck, you know, you get it started and it's like putting, and it's like it looks brand new almost, and it's putting. I'm like, man,
that was sound design there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that project to begin with?
I was just always had different ideas for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. And I just eventually kind of had enough interesting ideas where I put them together and decided to make a film out of it. And it's actually my second Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film. And the first one the Sawyer Massacre actually kind of evolved from the first one I did. So there are some similarities between the two. It's just, I got to go to Texas to actually film the Sawyer Massacre, and it was a full feature length film where the other one was a 30-minute short. Yeah, it was just a matter of the ideas just kept coming at the right time, I guess you could say. The things started to come in place, and got to a place where the script was finally getting good, and there were certain things I was having trouble with that were starting to make sense now, and it happened pretty organically, but it happened over a long period of time.
How
When
did you
you
find the
start,
people? How did you find the people to collaborate with you on that? On these projects?
I mean, I started locally. I started with a local casting director that was really interested, named Angela Quinn here in Western Canada, and she had worked with on some bigger films and with some major players and stuff like that, and she was making good suggestions to me. So I listened to her, and you know it was pretty clear right off the bat that I didn't really want to shoot it in Western Canada. I always knew I could if I had to, but I I always had this, let's try to go big with this and see if we can get it filmed in Texas. And I started reaching out to people in Texas, and man, I gotta say, the community down in Texas is very, very welcoming. They really love the idea of me shooting a film down there, shooting a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film down there, and it was super, super welcoming. I thought I'd get a lot of people saying, "What do you Canadian boys know about doing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film?" But no, it was very welcoming, and the more I promoted shooting it in Texas, the more support I think I got for the film. Which was never it wasn't a marketing strategy by any means. It was just, I want to see if I can make it as authentic as possible and shoot it in Texas. But then when the crowdfunding started kicking in and people were messaging me, you better be shooting this movie in Texas, Steve. It's like I had to shoot it in Texas. I couldn't shoot it in Canada by that point, because a lot of the people that helped fund our movie were strictly based on us shooting in Texas. So yeah, it was quite an experience, I'll say that much.
was there anything in that film that that you wanted to do but you couldn't?
Many things. Many things.
That
Logistical
happens with
things.
all of our writers, directors, and all that we have on the show. They say the same thing. So
Yeah, when you're on a budget, there's going to be so many things that you can't do, especially for a film like that we had a very, very old chainsaw, and I always wanted that chainsaw. But because it was very old, it was also very unpredictable and very, very dangerous. And we may have got one shot in the entire film where it's actually on, so stuff like that. So a lot of people have pointed that out too. The chainsaw is not running, and that's true. It's not. It might be running in one shot, but it was just so unpredictable that that was one sacrifice I had to make. But I look at it and I say, well, did I want that chainsaw not running, or a newer chainsaw but it was running? And I kind of made the choice in that regard, where I'd rather have this chainsaw that it could run. In fact, I bought that specific chainsaw because I knew it could run. A lot of those models don't run anymore, but I got it from somebody on eBay, I believe, that say this one actually runs, but it just sucks that it's only running maybe in one shot of the entire film. I'm not even 100% sure that shot was put in the film or not, but yeah, I mean, it just I think I'd still rather have taken the old chainsaw because I love that chainsaw so much. It was a beast, though. That was a heavy ass chainsaw. They don't make them like they used to.
Big old blade.
Oh, he was massive.
Yeah.
Trying to mail that thing off to the person that bought it too was, trying to fit that in a box where it was actually going to, where it was not going to destroy the box in the process. That was not easy, but we made it work.
Let me ask you. So, how many times did you watch the original or Texas Chainsaw Massacre films? Period.
Mostly the original. I mean, I've seen the original a lot. I've seen the remake a few times.
Are you a fan of the remake?
Believe it or I am, and I am. In fact, that was kind of one of the reasons why one of the things that inspired me to do the movie is there's a lot of aspects of the remake that I love, but then there's other aspects of the remake that I just hate, that I really, really hate, and I really wanted to try to do something. I wanted to do something that had some similar vibes to it, but definitely go a different route in some directions. And I could be here all day talking about what things I liked and didn't like about the remake, but
I only watched the remake because of Jessica Biel. That's the only reason why I watched it. I'm not a true fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I love and finding toys and stuff on it's hard to find those too without costing arm and a leg.
It wasn't a big of a franchise as the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare.
But it's what started them off, though.
I know, and if they'd have kept going at a steady pace, and
if they would have done it the right way instead of making it a comedy, sort of, to me, that's what it started going into.
It's funny because a lot of people like the comedy one.
Yes, they do.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 has its fans and it has its haters, and I'm not a big fan of it myself. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the series as a whole, other than the original. Really, again, I really love certain aspects of the remake, and if they just would have done a few things differently, I probably would really like that movie. But it's a movie I always try to like. I watch it thinking, man, I'm going to like it more this time. But it's like these certain things in the movie are just jarring to me, and it just it takes away. It's too bad because I feel like there's greatness there. There's so much greatness in that movie, but
does anybody know the exact date when that movie was released or the exact year?
Which one?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the very first one.
It was released in 1974. It was released. Oh man, I want to say around this time. I think, or maybe early October. It could have been like October 1st of 74, something like that.
You have a phone right in front of you. You could have just typed it in.
No, I already know. It was like 1974 or 75 is what I remember. But 74. What I remember
74.
was my aunt and uncle, when I would stay at their house, they had VHS. Then this was like in the 80s. And one of those movies was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I couldn't read. I just saw Texas, and I threw that joker in. And here we are.
What do you think it was?
I don't, bro. I was little. I might have been 6. The movie scared the bejesus out of me. Listen, it did. It was
only one.
It was the noises. Like I would close my eyes and just hear the noises, and I was done. I was out.
Only one horror franchise ever scared the shit out of me, and that was it. The rest of them didn't. And it was just the first one. You know which one?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
The very first one.
Because Mark lived over on
Elm Street.
Oh.
Right next door to Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was bad, but they call it something else now in Crystal River.
If you would have grown up on something other than a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, do you think that you'd have made any other kind of film, any other type of fan film? For example, Friday the 13th or something like that.
I'll be honest, I was never very big on Friday the 13th, other than the first couple. if I was going to take on any other franchise, probably Halloween.
Michael Myers story, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I know that one's got its share of haters.
You're the first person that you're the first person I ever heard say that. I got to go back and rewatch it. I've not watched it in a long time. I could, if you want to start something, an anthology, they should have just kept going with it. But they did it this way. And
the problem that I see with that was this: they made Halloween 2. Exactly. So John Carpenter's idea right off the bat was that Halloween was going to be different Halloween themed films, but the studio pushed him to make Halloween 2 as an official sequel to the first one, continuing that night. And because he made Halloween 2, once you got a sequel that's in the same canon, in the same universe,
they want to keep it going.
You want to, so and the fans see that. They say, okay, Michael Myers is our guy. Halloween 3 must be bringing Michael Myers back. And when Michael Myers doesn't show up, that's why it bombed and why people hated it for years.
And that's why people don't like Part 5, Friday the 13th, because it's not
actually Jason, right? Yeah.
And I thought that was a great idea. Keep it going using somebody else instead of bringing back somebody that's dead. But and I always I'd like to see Halloween, but not have Laurie in it, but have somebody else come in and take on, Michael, like, just spitballing here, like Tommy Jarvis. That would be an interesting one. But
Tommy Jarvis or Tommy Doyle from Halloween?
No, Tommy Jarvis.
Tommy Jarvis from Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Across the universe.
Yep.
We actually had him on the show.
Yeah.
Which one? It didn't like
Tom Matthews.
Tom Matthews.
Tom Matthews. The one that he's the only one that really people recognize as Tommy Jarvis, because he's the most, I think, the most likable. The one in Part 5 I thought was just, he played it being nuts and all. He played it up, but it just wasn't what people wanted. So when in Part 6 they gave you what you needed.
There you go.
So people that make fan films, other than yourself, how do you think they get into it? Do you think that they sit down and review film as well, or they have a passion for a specific one that they're like, you know what, there's more story off of this person, this particular character, and I want to feed on that. Like, I want to make something of that.
I mean, everybody's different, so I mean, everybody has their own reasons for it, and some are definitely seasoned filmmakers that have been doing this for a while, and just see that there's a story that hasn't been told, and some are just the classic fan film is a couple of guys pissing around in their backyard that happen to have a camera and a Jason mask or something, and hey, let's make a fan film. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think there's a stigma on fan films simply because of that, because there are so many that's all that they was, hey, I got an iPhone and I got a mask and I'll buy pizza for the night and
we'll make a movie.
And we'll make a movie for the price of a pizza. I've heard that before.
Jeez.
Have you sat down and watched any of the fan films?
I've watched a few different fan films. I haven't watched a ton, but I've watched my share. I try to stick to the ones I think I'm going to like more. I'm a big fan of Black Christmas, so I was like one of the first people to watch "It's Me, Billy" by Dave McRae.
I just seen that "It's Me, Billy." Oh, yeah. I've not watched it. I just seen it. Somebody was talking about it. I'm like, what the hell? I said, I'm missing something. And then to come to find out, they're making a second one.
Yeah. And they got the original actress to reprise her role. So that's pretty awesome.
All right.
Pretty excited for it.
So you have your newest creation, your latest and greatest. You are out grinding right now, trying to raise money for this film so that you guys can shoot it hopefully by next year. Year and a half?
Yeah, we're aiming for about. I think we're trying to aim for like mid-April of next year to early May, maybe mid-May at the latest. But yeah, that's what we're aiming for. Yeah.
And is it okay to say where this film's going to be shot?
Sure.
It's
Where
in
at
Canada.
Western Canada, in Kelowna, British Columbia.
Okay. And you're going to fly a whole bunch of people out there, including Mark and myself.
Sure. Yeah. Right. But yeah, we do have a few people to fly from the U.S. So that's what we're raising money for right now. Is basically to be able to pay for these people to come from wherever they're coming from in the U.S. And make sure they have a place to stay and make a good movie out of it.
And I know you said you didn't want to talk. You don't want to give it away.
Definitely don't want to give it away, but I could tell you it's a movie essentially about this guy who's had the worst day of his life.
Hold on. Before you get into that, let's go ahead and play the teaser.
Oh, sure. You'll get a lot from the teaser.
You ready?
Okay. Yeah. Do you remember how to do this? You got to
come on.
Share audio.
No, I did that. Mother.
And then click the right one. Don't click us again.
Listen here. I put it on there. It's just not doing it. The video is a unique coded that you borrowed does not support. Screw that. StreamYard doesn't support it, so forget it.
Oh yeah, StreamYard doesn't support.
So we're not.
A lot.
So we won't play that.
All right.
Now you have to tell us a little bit. Give us the teaser, the verbal teaser for the film.
Okay, so if you've ever seen the movie Falling Down, Michael Douglas had the worst day of his life, and it's essentially this movie follows this guy on the worst day of his life. We don't know who he is. We don't really know what he's done and what has happened that's made this the worst day of his life. But we really are trying to get the viewer into this person's mind, that he's done the most horrific thing he could ever think of doing, and it's about how he's trying to cope with that mentally, knowing that he could believing that he couldn't possibly do what he's done, and the reality of the situation couldn't really be real, but it is. And so it's definitely a very psychological film. It kind of explores mental illness. It explores lots of different subjects, that are important in film these days, trauma, all that kind of stuff. And oh yeah, there's our Indiegogo. And it's just I want to really try to get the audience to be immersed into this person's mind, because it could happen to any of us at any time.
It's a psychological slasher horror film. All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I guess you can play it right from the.
It'll
be small, but you can play.
Yeah.
Blow it up. No.
Oh,
that
no.
one. There you go.
Amy, what are you writing? Oh, God. Look what you did.
What if it's him? You don't know the lengths this guy will go to. He's in the house right now.
Amy! 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 Amy!
Okay, now I want to know. because just because of that, like you're already thinking like, did he kill his girlfriend? But then it shows that she's there, and so is he just like running that through his mind? Yeah, yeah. There's some stuff going on there. I like that. That's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one. So that was already shot, right? That part.
That
of,
teaser was
that
it,
little teaser?
that was all just done with what we had. I had no money to make this teaser.
That's okay.
So
The
we
actors and actresses that we saw there,
You
are
didn't see
they?
many. You saw
Well,
one.
you
You
saw
saw
and
one
then
actor one actress that was playing 3 different roles, essentially.
Oh, I saw a hand.
Yeah, there was 3 different hands acting as one hand.
Okay.
That's a good thing
One
about
of
a teaser.
many times it's my hand, and but it's all supposed to be the same person's hand. And the one camera guy, his hand is a little darker, so you don't notice it's darker when he's holding the note. So some people thought, oh, there's 2 different killers in this. You know, they see that teaser because his hand is darker. But no, it's just that we were just making do with what we've got, basically. And that's what happens when you don't have money for any money to actually shoot something.
Well, let me
Well,
ask you
I-
this: how many days do you think that this film is going to take?
I would ideally like something around 20 days, 25 days even. Am I going to get that? Probably not. I'm probably not going to get that. I'm probably going to get something like 12 days or 14 days, which, will make it work. But again, it's a budget thing, right? It's that's why we're crowdfunding, and we've taken in a little bit of private equity investors, but it's still, movies don't get made for cheap. It's not cheap to make a feature length movie with a lot of characters and stuff like that. So a lot of characters and locations too. Should always keep that in mind. Locations can be pretty expensive sometimes, but I'm doing my best to find cheap ones.
Brian will let
Hey,
you.
are
use
you
his
okay if a
backyard.
movie's filmed here for free? That's the question I'm asking people from now on. Like, I want to use your
Brian will let
location
you.
to put it in a film.
Yeah, Brian will let you use his yard, no problem.
There you go. We don't have a yard in the film. Well, no, that's not true. We do have a yard, but we got a lot of different locations in the film, and we got a lot of different actors that need to be paid, and a lot of different crew members that need to be paid. And I've never found a cinematographer or a sound recordist that'll do it for free. And typically they're like, a sound recordist is typically about $500 to $1,000 per day.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can find for cheaper. In fact, our guy on Sawyer Massacre worked for considerably less because he was really excited about the idea of being a part of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. So he reduced his rate quite considerably just so that we can make this movie. And again, if we don't have people making little sacrifices like that, we probably wouldn't get the movie made, because we couldn't afford to pay everybody what they should be getting paid. That's just a fact. When you're making a movie for tens of thousands of dollars rather than tens of millions of dollars, it's the money's just not there.
Yeah, I've seen some of these movies where they're made really good. Fan films, they're made really good. They look better than some of the movies that are out there.
I agree. I do agree. I mean, fan films have come a long way. Again, it used to be known as the guys in the backyard having a few beers and here's my Halloween mask or whatever, right? And that's cool. But now we've always going to have that stigma around fan films, So no matter how good we get, no matter how good the films actually get, you're always going to have that stigma about what fan films are.
I mean, some of the films that have come out recently, like Vengeance 2, Roseblood, and some of the, I can't remember the Halloween one that I watched. It was in 3 sections. I mean, they're really good made, and they look more professional than some of the ones. But they're also, the reason why Friday the 13th came out more because of the fact that we didn't get a movie for like, what was it?
Exactly.
Over 12 years or something like that. And they're still fighting over it.
Yeah.
I can't wait oh, sorry. I can't wait for the series to come out, but still. And I'm hoping that, after seeing the Sawyer Massacre, that we see a little bit more of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, franchise come out more. fan film or not. I mean, it would be cool to see more.
Yeah,
I mean-
it'd be cool to see a more gritty Texas Chainsaw Massacre film again. I don't know if that'll happen. It'd be nice if they shot them in Texas again. I think that was a big reason why I was getting funding, is that fans were pretty upset that they're not filming those movies in Texas anymore. So,
They
yeah,
come
I
to
was-
Florida and
return.
film down
I
there by
was-
us.
I was not a fan of the last one, the one that was on Netflix. I was not a fan of it. I think that, and that was done in another country too.
Yeah,
Was it really?
Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Was it
The
really?
last
Yep.
couple of movies have been shot in Bulgaria.
Yeah, because they made a town in 10 days. Which, if you
It
watch
wa-
that
and it
movie,
looks like it.
yes. I didn't like I didn't like the story. I didn't like that they had a bus full of people, and he chopped them all up except for what, 2 people.
Way to spoil it for everybody, Mark.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm going
it's
to.
been out for over a year. I think it's okay
Yeah.
by this. But
If you haven't watched it yet, you're not missing out. Not on that one. The one before that wasn't bad. But it just depends on your cup of tea and what you like. I mean, you might like the one on Netflix. You never know.
hey, it has its fans. It does have its fans, and if you're the type of person that's just going to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre to see blood, guts, and gore, then that's the movie you want to see. But if you want something more like the original, I feel like that's kind of what we delivered. We didn't deliver a lot of gore in our film. We had some off-screen kills and everything, and that was always what I had intended. But it's funny though; I still get people saying how gory our film was, and I was like, really?
One of my favorite parts of your movie was every time somebody stopped at that store, they didn't have anything. My grandpa has something down the road. Go.
It was
go
all
see
part of
him.
their plan. That was all part of their plan. Yeah.
And then the one guy's telling him, hey, look, if you want to go camping, go further south. No. My grandfather's got stuff for you. And I'm like, wow. It was good. I did like it.
Grandpa's the
Cool.
business.
Grandpa's got everything.
How long have you started? You've started crowdfunding for Unseen. When did you start?
Yes. We launched our first campaign. I think it was like the middle of May.
Okay.
I believe it was the middle of May. I think we ran that from May 15th to like July 15th. And we didn't hit our goal, so we started a second campaign around the end of July. And that one hit its goal, so we've gone in demand. So we'll be keeping our campaign up until, I don't know, we might keep it up as long as we need, just to definitely up until after we've shot the film for sure. But I'm always debating whether to start a new campaign after we shot the film for like a finishing funds campaign, a post-production campaign sort of thing. But yeah, we've had it up for it's, how long have we had it? A couple months now too. So yeah, it was around the end of July that we started that campaign, and we'll probably leave it up for at least a good 6 months.
Yeah, hopefully it drives some more funds your way so that we can get this movie out so that we can watch it. Because, like I said, now I'm interested. The
There you
little
go.
teasers, I'm
I mean,
ready.
it's about getting enough funds now to get all these American actors over here to Canada. That's
You
that's
may have
really
to just,
the
you may have to
funding
just make
now.
it a Canadian film sometimes. Hey,
And hey, if that happens, if I have to recast people, I will recast people. It would suck. It would absolutely suck. I'd hate to do that to any of them, but it's a business at the end of the day, and if I can't afford to fly somebody all the way from New York or wherever they're from, it's not a cheap flight, so
right.
we just got to consider what we have for funds. And I think at the end of the day, these people all know that this is the nature of it, really, and if we can't raise the funds to do that, then it's what's going to happen, and I don't like the idea of replacing anybody, but I don't think I've ever made a film, not even a short film, where somebody wasn't replaced in casting, because things come up,
Speaking of casting, Brian, you haven't asked any questions about the cast.
I was getting to it. I was going to ask you who you planned on casting in this film.
Well, it's got it more or less cast, but as far as people you might recognize the names of, we've got Felissa Rose of Sleepaway Camp. She's cast in the film. We've got Brett Wagner, who played Leatherface in the 2003 remake, just for the first kill, and he was also in like The Crazies and a few other things. So you probably recognize their names. We've also got Jamie Hill, who you would recognize from the movie Skinamarink that came out last year. Was it last year it came out? Late last year, early this year, somewhere?
I think it was last year, yeah.
Yeah. So she was in that movie. Other people you might recognize, Angel Bradford, Crystal Gorski. She was in Harlow's Haunt.
We actually had Crystal on the show, right?
Right.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Roland Keller, who was in Valentine Bluffs, another fan film, a My Bloody Valentine fan film.
Yes, that was a good one.
Yeah. So pretty good cast and a few unknowns, a few unknown actors. Our lead, in fact, who's playing Crystal, Trinity Chase. She's this will be her first movie role, so that'll be pretty cool. And the antagonist. The antagonist is being played by Adam Ginsberg, but it's a voiceover role.
Yeah, he was going to come on, but something happened to where he couldn't come on today.
It happens.
Yeah, which is good, you know.
So what does that mean, a voiceover role? He's just playing.
Well, he's just doing the guy's voice. You won't see him physically in the movie because this is a character you never really see. Like at all, other than his hands, like you saw in the teaser. His hands or his shadow. That's all you see.
I love movies like that. You don't see who they are until the very end.
You won't see this guy at all.
No,
like anything.
Okay,
you won't.
Cool.
You'll have to decipher who he is from all the information given in the film.
Are you taking part, other than being the writer and director of this film? Are you taking part in it on camera?
No, on camera, no.
You won't be on camera?
No, I don't like to be in my own movies.
You don't even
I've tried it once.
You don't even do the we need a dead body. Like, here we go.
I'd rather not. I mean, if we had nobody else to do it, sure, I would do it.
Okay.
But I'd rather not. I don't like seeing myself in my films. I've done it before, and I'm just not a fan of it. But
some people like to do it in their movies. Some people, take Stan Lee. He did it in all his.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little sneak peek.
Little cameo. Stephen King.
Stephen King. Yeah.
Stephen King. Yeah. Oh, it's the same way with oh my God, back in the day. Oh my God, the fat guy. They showed a shadow.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock, yeah.
Yeah.
The Alfred Hitchcock. Oh my God, dude, I love those films. Anything that was done by Alfred Hitchcock was absolutely fantastic. It was just dumb good. Like, Birds came from him, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Birds, North by Northwest.
It made a lot of people. It made a lot of people not like Birds after that movie.
Trust me, I know.
Psycho. I mean, take that one for example. People, locked their doors when they went into hotels after that.
Yep.
Well, you should have been doing that a long time ago, people. It's called
back then. You didn't have to.
Yeah, you trusted everyone back then.
Besides doing what you do daily, I was told that you have a podcast.
Yeah, I do just on YouTube once in a while when I have time. But yeah, it's called Merlo's Movie Massacre. It's on my channel, Sequanda Films, and I do it not as often as I would like, but whenever I find time, I get on there and sometimes I interview people, and sometimes I'm just talking about a specific topic, doing a ranking of films or a top 10 of whatever, and just having fun, just a friendly discussion with people in the chat, and it's usually pretty fun.
He normally answers everybody too, one way or another.
I try to. Sometimes the
Good.
chat gets a little busy and I can't quite answer everybody, but I do my best to answer everybody's chat. Try to.
Uh,
How did you come up with the name for your line of films?
For Sequanda Films?
Yeah.
I originally wanted to be like a fantasy style filmmaker. You never know. Maybe one day I'll be able to do that. But like extreme effects and stuff like that. And I created this world called Sequandaland when I was a teenager. And I even wrote. I'm a musician and songwriter, so I actually wrote a lot of songs based on this Sequandaland place. So it's so when I came up with the idea of doing a production company, Sequanda Films just seemed like a natural name to call your production company. And I do hope to make these Sequandaland films someday, but gotta have a lot of money to make those, that's for sure.
and really good computers.
Really good computers, really really good. I like practical effects though too. I would try to do as much practical as I could. George Lucas did it all practical back in the day with Star Wars. So can I, but need money. Back in the day, of course, when he did the prequels, it was all CGI and
Yeah, exactly. How many times do you think you've rewritten this particular script?
For Unseen?
Yeah.
Depends on what you would call a
I don't mean the whole thing, but certain
I've
scenes.
rewritten certain things probably at least a dozen times. I've gone over it and added new stuff and took out stuff, and probably at least a dozen times, and I'll probably do it at least a couple more before we go to camera, because you have to look at the logistics of everything and the money you've got, and you have to be like, okay, how important is this scene? Is there a way we can combine this scene with that scene to make them cohesive together? So I mean, just that's the kind of thing that we writers have to do, especially when we're working on a budget, is figure out how to simplify things as much as possible.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Before you started writing, before you started directing and film and making films, what were you doing, or what do you do in your regular?
Well, I've done a number of different things. I owned a music school for a number of years, and before that, I was a full-time musician playing on the road. So, artistic stuff has always been kind of what I've done. It's not great money. I'll be honest with you. I did it.
You're a starving artist, is that right?
I did make a living, but I was eating hot dogs and Schneider's hot dogs for
Bologna
many nights,
sandwiches.
and pizza pockets and stuff. I remember my 20s, and it was rough eats. Except when I was playing as a musician, sometimes you get put up in a really nice hotel and they give you the free meals and stuff like that. Then you ate like a king. But for the most part, when I was at home and I was trying to save money, when you only make around 20-25 grand a year, your money just doesn't go very far. So you got to make sacrifices. And I did eat a lot of stuff I kind of wish I didn't eat. I look back at it now, I'm like, boy, I ate that, huh? I did.
All right, worst thing you think you've eaten?
Worst thing I think I've eaten? Ooh. My wife is Filipino. So even though this is not dating back to those days, in the Philippines, they have this thing called the balut egg, which is like
oh my God. Yes, I know exactly what you're
You know what that is? Like
Yeah.
if you've seen Fear Factor, that was like a popular eating challenge on Fear Factor. And, when I would watch Fear Factor, I always said to myself, I could eat that. That looks like it'd be easy to eat. Once I had it in front of me, it was like, I don't think I can eat this thing. And I did eat it, but man, that was tough. I didn't think I was going to get through it, but I did. And I've never tried it again, and I never will. Nope.
I'd never. So I lived in California, and I had some Filipino friends, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go to a restaurant, Filipino style buffet." I was like, "Oh, cool, let's go." Because you can pick and choose whatever you want. It's a buffet.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of buffet. Like literally, you go up, you get a box, and you point to what you want, and they just start piling it on until you tell them to stop, and they just throw everything together. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Different.
One of my friends was sitting with me, and they were eating this. I feel like it was like a cow liver or something, but it was black. I don't know if you've ever eaten it or not, but it's basically it's pig's blood and something. I forget what it is, but it was not great. I was like, oh, no, that's terrible.
Well, when I went to the Philippines, I ate some of their street food, and they had like a pig intestine, and they did have like a congealed blood of some kind. And it's not. I'll admit that those were not foods I would eat on a regular basis, but I would eat those any day over that balut egg.
Give the balut egg away.
I will eat that intestine a million times before I ever try that balut egg again.
I think I'd probably do the same. I just watch people eat that thing, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it was.
As we get older, though, our taste buds do change. I mean, I was never a fan of Brussels sprouts.
Really?
My wife now fries up Brussels sprouts with a little bit of bacon, and I absolutely love them. I'm like, hey, when can we have those little baby cabbages again?
Sometimes it's just on how you do it, right?
I think so. I think that's what it all comes.
That's because the bacon taste, takes over everything else.
I don't even need the bacon.
Yeah,
little butter, little garlic, and I'm golden. That's it.
Yeah.
With the Brussels sprouts.
If it's green, I don't need it.
Mark doesn't look like he eats a vegetable.
I hate vegetables.
I know. I watched you push one down the road the other day. That was terrible.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm going to hell. So where can our viewers, when we're done with the show and they're watching YouTube, where would you like them to follow you? All your socials and all that, so that they can hopefully, when this movie comes out, everybody will view it and then come back here in a year and a half to Talking Shit and be like, hey, we want Steve back on the show, and we want to talk about this movie, because if you do like you did with Mark on this other movie and leave him on a cliffhanger,
yeah, I'll have you back on. I'll have you back on. Just
if you thought the Sawyer Massacre was a cliffhanger, holy crap!
No, I like them. I do like them as a cliffhanger, but the only problem that I have is if sometimes with the cliffhanger, it is for interpretation, of course, but you also have the fact that you're like, okay, are they going to make another one? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? I'm like, what the hell? Might as well ask that question. Are you going to make another Sawyer Massacre?
That's hard to say. I'll never say never, but I would never intended on making a sequel. It was intended to be just one film. You know what? I've said this before too. I said that I would like to see somebody else tackle a sequel, and I would give them my blessing. I would, come on as some sort of executive producer or something. Maybe even consult on the story. But I'd rather not make another one. I mean, I'd love to go back to Texas and film again, though. I'll say that much. So if I am going to go back to Texas and film again, may as well make another one, But who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I think that would be really cool to see somebody else do a sequel to it. It's as far as I know, it's the only feature length Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film out there. As far as I know, so. There's some longer-ish ones. I think there's a couple in the 30-minute, 40-minute range.
Yeah.
But nothing feature length like this was 93 minutes, So I hope to see more, because there's starting to be a lot more feature length fan films getting made. Rose Blood was feature length. What else was feature length?
Vengeance,
one of the Halloween
Vengeance 2.
Vengeance 2, Bloodlines was feature length. So there's been a few now, and I heard that the new Never Hike Alone is probably going to be feature length. I heard
Yeah,
that.
the
I'm
second
not
one,
sure.
it's due out on the 14th, I believe they said. I
There you
should,
go.
or the 13th. I'm sorry.
There you
Of
go. So I
October.
mean, it's happening more and more. So that the feature length fan films. So Valentine Bluffs is another feature length.
Oh
fan
yeah,
film.
that's another one you should put on your list too, Brian.
Yes.
Okay.
And by the way, the director of that film is doing special effects for Unseen as well. If we can afford to fly him here. If we can afford all that,
Well,
which I think we can.
We need to make sure everybody knows how to find you on the Indiegogo. They need to
That's right.
go to
share it.
Indiegogo and yep,
We'll share it on our account
at the end of this
There
too.
you go.
Yeah,
Right?
and yes, I have at our outro. We'll have. Oh wait a minute, no, I don't. I don't think I have that on there for the Indiegogo. I just have the name, but we'll share it. We'll share the Indiegogo.
Yeah,
absolutely.
put the link in the comments or something like that after the video stuff. But yeah, if you want to find me, because I think that's what we were talking about originally, was where you can find me. Follow me on Facebook at Steve Merlo, or you could follow the Unseen group, which is Unseen Indie Horror Film, I believe. I think it's Indie Horror Film. And I'm on Instagram at _unseen.movie. YouTube at Sequanda Films, and I think that's about all I'm really active on. I mean, I'm on a couple other things, but I'm not really active on them. TikTok,
Yeah.
Slasher app. I'm on Twitter. I'm on those, but I'm like rarely on those. So
I won't be using Twitter anymore. So
I haven't. I mean, I've checked it from time to time.
I go on.
I haven't posted on there. And
I go on it every so often, and I was. I was putting stuff on there about yours, and then, they come across and said that they're going to start charging people to try to make some of the money back that he put into it, or, lost buying it.
He doesn't have enough money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can give me some of it. I won't argue.
Can I hold a couple of dollars? All right. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Anything that we might have missed? Because I know you got to go in about 6 minutes.
No, I think that pretty much covers everything unless you guys have any more questions, As far as the ending of the Sawyer Massacre, what do you think happened there, Mark?
Yeah.
Well, I think that the driver was killed and the woman was used as a sex toy. Basically,
just as a sex toy,
okay. or a sex object, or to make babies, to have more Sawyers. I mean,
there you go.
Because at the end you hear a baby crying.
You hear the baby, and that's my son, by the way. That's my little 22-month-old boy. While he was about 10 months old then, but yeah.
Let me record you crying because you're going in the film.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it was originally supposed to be my daughter. I had recorded her back when we did our first teaser trailers back in 2019 when she was just 2 years old. And now that when she grew up, she was, she was 5 years old, I think, at the time when I was getting ready to release the movie. And I had her recording still from when she was 2. And she says to me, "I don't want to be a part of your movie, Daddy. I don't like scary movies." So she made me take it out, and I said, "Okay, I guess I'll record your brother and put him in instead." And that's what I did. So
she'll be a part of your anime if you're going to do an anime movie. She'll
be a part of anything that's not scary. Apparently,
there you go.
Give them time; they'll change.
Oh yeah, I'm sure eventually she would come around to it. Hopefully, he doesn't grow up and be like, "Dad, why'd you put my voice in that movie?" Hopefully not, but.
I had my kids watching horror movies at 5 years old.
Wow.
They've been watching them ever since. And they love it.
There you go. But you know what, Mark, you got the gist of it. You got the gist of what the implied ending means. Now, I've heard of different theories on what the ending is supposed to mean. I've heard a lot of people just think they both got killed. Because
then why is there a baby crying at the end?
I know. What does that mean?
I think that when I watched it, I was like, all right, the woman had to survive because it panned right to her at the end. It didn't show him at all, but it showed her and then a
Stayed
baby
on
crying.
her face.
Yep.
And what's great about that last shot is her acting. I gotta give it to Nika on that final shot of the movie. That's probably the one shot in the movie where I was like, yes, because she captured the exact emotions I needed her to capture. It's like
You could,
her accepting the fate that she had, that she knows is coming to her, and preparing herself for it at the same. You know, she's supposed to be this strong character, so she knows she's got to be strong to get through this
yeah,
experience.
she's telling the driver, because I can't remember the name right now, telling the driver, we need to run. We need to run.
Yeah.
Come on. And no, I almost got it. I almost got it. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck it. You know, it's done.
Maybe
So
they got away. Maybe they got. There's some
They got
people
away,
out there
they
that
got
think
away,
they got
man.
away. There
They
are
got
some
away,
people out there that think
and
that they got
they
away.
had a
No.
baby.
I don't think that
They had a
they're-
baby in Canada.
yeah,
There was
no.
somebody actually had a theory that that she was already pregnant, that and that was why she was planning on going on this, you know, road trip to nowhere, to wherever.
So,
and that
so instead,
to find
it just
herself
scared
and
the
get
shit
away
out of her, scared the baby out of her, and it started crying at that point in time.
there you go.
Okay.
Why not?
No, I like my way better.
I know, but hey, you know, the theories you hear though, I like that it's got people talking. I think that's ultimately what I intended from that ending. Originally, I wrote the ending without the baby cry. It's just that chainsaw was supposed to get louder and louder and louder, and that cuts to black. And then I thought of the baby crying, and I said to myself, no, that's too cut and dry, and everybody's going to know for sure that Leatherface is going to knock her up. But then I thought about it more and more. I'm like, in fact, I even saw some sort of video about the symbolic meanings of babies crying, and it's like this baby crying can mean multiple different things. So
Right.
I decided to put it in, and I think it was the right choice to put the baby crying.
Oh,
in
I
there.
agree. I agree. If it would have came up to the point where Leatherface was coming up, and you hear it getting louder and louder, and then you faded, yes, I would have came to the same conclusion. Yes,
That
they
she
both died.
Yeah.
But to me, she lived. That's how more Sawyers came about.
Yeah, and it was teased at, you know, it was hinted at throughout the movie that
Boy,
they're looking for somebody.
You did a great job. I'll.
Thank you.
There are some
Yeah.
fan films, like you said, that aren't worth a shit.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't say it like that, but
Well,
I'll
there
say it
are.
like
Well, but they're not made by
Some are-
filmmakers either,
right.
right? Those ones are made by a couple
But-
guys, you know, a few people having fun, and that's
Right.
Okay,
great.
Mark in the
Have fun.
backyard drinking
Yeah.
a beer and eating a pizza.
Exactly.
Now, see, if you ever go to Texas and make a movie again, me and Brian will drive over, and you can have us for free,
Awesome.
as long as
There
our
you go.
names are in the movie somewhere,
There you go.
and as long
I'm
as you
game.
kill him and
Texas is
not
a
me.
long way away, bud.
It is not that far.
Oh my God, this guy.
We'll
You
take a
guys are
boat.
closer
How
than
about
I am. I know that much.
It's only 10 hours to
We're
Houston.
closer, but this guy, he doesn't understand. Like I don't like driving. I don't like flying.
Oh, I love to fly. I'd rather
I'm
fly than
grumpy as
drive.
hell. I don't like anything.
Yes, we know that.
That's why.
But if you ever decide to come to Florida and do it, you know, no problem.
You never know. No problem. You never know. You never know. Maybe we'll see.
All right,
Well,
one more time, guys. The name of the film and go.
Unseen, and we're going to be filming it in spring of next year. And support on Indiegogo.
Excellent.
And we'll share all that information after we're done here.
Perfect.
Steve, thanks for your time, man. You've been an awesome guest to have on. Come on anytime. If you got anything you want to post out about the movie, please share it on our page. We're happy to
Awesome.
support.
Sounds good.
We're absolutely happy to support.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Have a good night, Steve.
Have a good night, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Steve Merlo. The name of the film coming out in about a year and a half, Unseen. You saw the preview here. You can catch that on Indiegogo. If you want to donate to his film, It is unseen on the Indiegogo. We're going to post that on our Facebook page. And Mark, you want to post it in the comments?
As I could. I was
Okay.
gonna say as soon as I figure out.
I thought you had it pulled up, so I'm just
I
copy and
did.
paste the link.
I did, but sometimes,
Mark's
but
slow with this, guys.
yeah, I'm a little slow. I'm sorry, asshole.
He's a little, and he's slow.
Yeah.
I love you too. All right.
Damn.
What else do you want to talk about? Because we got a minute or two before I tell you I'm getting off of here so I can go eat my dinner.
Well, we could talk about. Wow, he's got a lot of posters up here. Stupid cat, stop doing that shit. Actually, we'll just do this. Do you? I would ask to see if you know who we're going to have on the show next week, but you probably forgot already.
I probably did. Does it start with a C?
Does it start with a C?
Yeah.
No. It starts with an A.
Oh, is this the one where you couldn't pronounce somebody's name?
No, hell no. I can pronounce his name. I can pronounce both of our guests next week's names.
Oh my God! It's Andy and old Matt Trashcan. It's the boys from what's that show over there where they do the thing with
Retro
the
Rental Review.
Retro. That's
Hey,
right. Those guys.
Did you watch? Have you watched their latest one?
I've been stupid.
They did. Okay, if you do, it's
gonna.
never ending story.
Oh, love it.
Oh my God, you should. I watched that this morning. I was like, okay, I got to watch something. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch that, and it is fucking funny. How many times did they put Jesus in there? It was funny. They literally have a picture of Jesus.
Are we still on the breakfast with Busey?
No. After you watch that already, after you watch their never-ending story one, you'll understand why.
Okay.
It's something with num-nums with I like I said, you're gonna have to watch it. It is funny on how Matt really goes at it, making Andy laugh a whole lot, and how much it's a great movie itself, but
of course it is.
You gotta
but
still
it's a
remember
movie from the early 80s. There were no graphics.
And if they remade that movie now, it would be, I don't think it would be as good.
It'd be a trash can fire.
There's many reasons why it would be, but we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't make that movie. Okay.
But they're thinking about remaking it.
Don't you dare. Listen, don't do that. You want to make another movie? You know what? Here. Let me throw something at you. Nobody's fucking done this yet. There used to be a TV show on back in the early 80s called Manimal. Look that one up, Mark. Manimal. Go fucking make that into a movie, you bastards, because nobody's doing it.
I'm waiting for them to make a movie on Captain Planet.
That's probably going to happen too. All right, let's tell these nice folks who you are, who I am, and then let's get the hell out of here. What do you say?
Okay. I'm Mark.
That is Mark. I'm Brian.
And we're out of here.
We're out of here.